Hi, my name is Lisa Winkler. I'm a graduate student at the University of Texas at Arlington, and today we're going to be demonstrating some effective as well as ineffective communication techniques and behaviors. We're going to start with demonstrating some ineffective nonverbal communication behaviors that can be disruptive to the communication process. We're going to follow that with some ineffective verbal behaviors. And finally, we're going to demonstrate some effective communication techniques to aid in the communication process. Communication is a vital part of almost everything that we do, so learning how to communicate effectively is a critical part of all aspects of human behavior and relationships. Jessica, I was watching your cheerleading practice today, and I noticed that there are some areas that can be improved, and I just have some suggestions that you may want to think about at your next practice. Maybe in the beginning, if you separate some of the girls in their practice and separate them and assign them a different coach, you may be able to give a little bit more focused one-on-one instruction and end up with better outcomes at the end of practice. What do you think? So in this demonstration, you have seen the lack of eye contact. You have seen the distraction of someone that is not paying attention to the person speaking, the use of a phone or looking down at a table or looking away or not nodding and smiling, and those kind of nonverbal behaviors are all adding to the communication effect when you're talking to somebody. Regardless of what they're saying back to you, those nonverbal cues can be vital in the communication process. Also, crossing your arms in a nonverbal communication shows that the person on the other side of the conversation is very closed and definitely not open to what the conversation is about, as was obvious in this demonstration. Now we're going to demonstrate some ineffective verbal behaviors that affect communication. Jessica, when I was watching your practice today, the girls seemed pretty distracted, and
yeah, well, that's every day.
And I understand that.
They're 7 and 8 years old.
I understand it has to be frustrating.
Very.
But when you are trying to get the practice together, it may be of benefit to separate the girls and assign them to other coaches, so that maybe individual approach or individual attention may allow the girls.
They don't really work that well like that. We've tried.
But maybe if you try a different approach.
What time is it?
This is a classic demonstration of ineffective verbal behaviors. Jessica was extremely unfocused. She interrupted everything that was said versus being patient and listening and being engaged in the conversation, digesting the information before you comment on them. She tried to change the subject in asking what time it was, which had nothing to do with what we were talking about. She was extremely distracted, and all of these things take away from the communication process. So finally, we're going to demonstrate an effective communication between two participants.
Hold on, let me put my phone away.
Jessica, I watched your practice today, and your girls seemed very distracted. And I understand that it's frustrating dealing with 7 and 8 year olds, but maybe if you think about separating the girls and putting them with different coaches coaches and allowing the different coaches to work with them individually, you may be able to get your point across a little bit more.
How many girls should be in each group?
Maybe 3 or 4, and I would work from there and see how they act.
So what you're saying is this can help our team if we separate them?
I would think that it would be very beneficial. If the girls can learn individually, and then when you put them together, you may have a better team approach.
Okay.
So the behaviors that are demonstrated in an effective communication exchange are both participants are engaged in the conversation. There is sustained eye contact. There is nodding and smiling, indicating that the other person is open to the communication and understanding what is being said. The arms are not crossed. The participant is leaning into the other person communicating so that they're not closed off. They're engaged in the conversation. They want to hear what the other person has to say. When you're talking about verbal communication or verbal behaviors, you want to be actively engaged in the process. You want to reiterate what the other person is saying. You want to clarify what they're saying. You can restate it in what Jessica did during the demonstration. So what you're saying is, this allows the other person to clarify exactly the message that is being communicated. Asking open-ended questions versus yes and no answers facilitates the communication process and allows more information to be exchanged. Being an active listener, being engaged in the conversation, repeating what is said, asking questions, all of these things enhance the communication process. Thank you.